Hello, this is a basic Canvas overview tutorial for winter 2023 quarter. My name is Paige Coleman. I am Canvas faculty support with Learning Technologies and Spaces, and we are part of the Office of the Vice Provost for Student Affairs. Before I begin, I'd just like to mention if you have any questions at all during this tutorial, please submit a ticket at canvashelp@stanford.edu. Again, that is canvashelp@stanford.edu. I assure you, your ticket will not get lost in some long ticket queue. We are a highly responsive team. And also, when you're within Canvas designing and developing your course, if you do get stuck, please do not take more than 10, even 5 to 10 minutes in trying to figure something out. Again, this would be another example of simply submitting a ticket to canvashelp@stanford.edu. Okay, let's jump in. To navigate to Canvas, you will type in canvas.stanford.edu in a URL. Canvas works best in Chrome or Firefox, so we do recommend one of those two browsers. If this is your first time entering Canvas, please leave some additional time to web authenticate as well. Once I navigate to canvas.stanford.edu, I'm initially taken directly to my dashboard. As you can see on my dashboard here, I have published courses at the top and unpublished courses at the bottom. If you do not see your course, please scroll down for courses are unpublished by default. If you still do not see your course and the course that you're currently teaching is not visible, please contact your department admin or the registrar's office. We pull information from Access. We do not push it back. So if you are scheduled to teach a particular course, and the same applies for students if they are enrolled in your course, a course card that represents that course should appear on your dashboard. Now, typically at the very top of your dashboard, you may have global announcements visible. I have closed all mine out. In case you X out a global announcement or close it out, it's also accessible by navigating to the Account tab in the global navigation menu. I'm going to click on Account, and if I bring my cursor down, I can see global announcements. I'm going to click on that, and here I can see current global announcements and also view recent global announcements. While I'm in the Account tab, I'd like to just review a few features here. One being profile. You can customize your own profile page. If you draw your attention to the right side of the screen, I'm placing my cursor on these 3 dots. You can edit your profile, you can add a bio, links as visible here, as well as a contact. You can also, once I place my cursor over my image, this pencil icon will appear, and you can upload your own picture, your own avatar. This is separate from pictures pulled from Access. This is separate from student pictures. This is your own personal picture or avatar. I'm going to scroll down to Settings. And if you draw your attention to the right side of the screen under Ways to Contact, my email address is denoted by default because the star is highlighted as my Stanford email address. We highly recommend that your Stanford email address remains the default. This will prevent a barrier to entry for particular features within Canvas. For instance, collaborations is synced directly to your Stanford Google Doc account, and it will also prevent Zoom bombing. You may add other ways to contact, however, you can highlight the star to denote Stanford email as default. One more thing I'd like to point out within Account are notifications. You may select the frequency with which you'd like to receive notifications regarding particular tools. For instance, I'm going to hold my cursor over the bell for announcements. And once I click on that, I can select the frequency with which I'd like to receive notifications regarding this particular announcement tool. And the same applies for all others you may view under course activities. In the past, when you set your notification preferences within your account and notifications, that had applied to all Canvas courses, but now you can actually drill down and set your preferences for notifications per course. And so if you're going to rely on Canvas heavily to communicate with students, I recommend you make them aware so they drill down into your particular course and they turn on their notifications. I'm now going to navigate back to my global dashboard menu and click on Dashboard. I'm going to scroll down, and for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to enter one of my Canvas demo courses. The default view is syllabus, which means as soon as I enter this course or a student would enter your course, they would directly be brought to the syllabus view. Before I delve into syllabus and files, I'd like to review two housekeeping items. I'd like to say two tools. The first one being roster photos. Now the roster photos tool is only visible to teaching teams. I'm going to highlight a more robust image. Now, students have the ability to navigate to access and record their pronouns and name pronunciation, which we pull into Canvas. This is a great way to familiarize yourself with the students in your course. You can listen to their name pronunciation and then also view their pronouns as well, their selected pronouns. This tool has recently been updated, so if you utilized it in the past and you intend on using it again, please clear your cache so you can view the update. And if you have any questions at all regarding roster photos, please submit a ticket at canvashelp@stanford.edu. One more thing I'd like to mention about this tool, if you look at the right, you can view download roster. We highly recommend that you download the roster before the add drop period and then after the add drop period. This essentially will serve as a fail-safe. So for instance, at any given time within Canvas, there may be a lag in notifications going out. We have encountered this in the past. And so for instance, if you send out an announcement and you don't receive a notification that announcement deployed, most likely Canvas is encountering a lag time. So if it's a very important announcement or you must communicate with your students, if you have downloaded the roster, you will have a CSV file of the students' names and email addresses, so you could then send an email. The other tool I'd like to mention is the People tool. This is visible to students. However, students can only see other students' names, section, and role. You can hide this tool, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. You can hide multiple tools if you don't intend to utilize them. However, if your course is going to employ a lot of group project-based work, collaborative-based work, I recommend keeping this visible so students may see each other. Now let's jump right into the syllabus. A best practice here when you're beginning to build out your course is to first upload your syllabus. I'm going to click on the edit pencil icon. This rich content editor box will appear. I will refer to this as the RCE box, and this box will remain consistent amongst other tools within Canvas as well. For instance, when creating a discussion, an assignment, drafting an announcement. Once I click on this caret, I can upload links, images, media, documents. For the purpose of the syllabus, I'm going to upload my syllabus. I can upload a document, which will take from your desktop, or you can also upload a course document, and uploading a course document would be everything you've already dumped into files, and I will review that next. So I'm going to click Upload Document. Again, I clicked on the caret. I'm going to click on the rocket ship. Bear with me, there is a lot of clicking. I'm going to find my winter syllabus. It has not successfully inserted yet, even though I see the name of the syllabus right here. I must scroll down. In order for a document to be viewable and publishable to students, I must select my usage rights. I'm going to click Submit, and then this yellow toolbar, this yellow bar will blink. It should blink. There we go. Took an extra second. And then I must scroll down, and then I must select Update Syllabus. You can also copy and paste content into the RCE box as well. Once I click Update Syllabus, there I can see my syllabus file, and I can download it as well. There is one caveat with the syllabus tool. Whenever you add a file or a document to your Canvas course, it is limited to those enrolled in your course. However, with the syllabus tool, it will actually feed out to syllabus.stanford.edu, which you also have to web authenticate to view. So it is further locked down to those within the Stanford community, but that file or document is searchable to others outside of your Canvas course. And this is the one exception. Now let's navigate to files. The second best practice would be to bring all your content that you are going to utilize for the quarter into your files tool. It's much easier to further design and develop your course once all the content is within that files tool. I can drag and drop files directly into this box. I can also upload from my desktop. As you can see, this red exclamation mark appeared, which means it's prompting me and reminding me I must set my usage rights for this document before I can click this circle and publish it. However, when I click on the exclamation mark and select my usage rights, I can also publish directly within here as well. And I'm going to select Save. I can also further create or chunk material within files. I can add folders. We recommend being consistent with your syllabus. It's easier for students to navigate. One other point regarding naming conventions, do not use dates. Because if you're going to copy this course content into another quarter's course, then all of those dates will also come over and they will no longer be relevant. And you're just creating extra work for yourself and clicking and having to edit all these files and dates. So we recommend as a naming convention using weeks, units, themes, project titles. There's also a hack with the files tool. If you're on a Mac, press Command A. If you're on a PC, press Control A. And as you can see, everything highlighted in blue, and then this toolbar appeared at the top of the screen. Okay. This allows you to have functionality of bulk. I'm sure you're asking yourself, if I'm bringing all this content into the files tool, a whole quarter's worth, and then I'm having to select usage rights for each, that could take forever. So if I'm on a Mac, Command A, PC, Control A, the toolbar will appear. and I can delete according to bulk, manage usage rights according to bulk. This will save you a lot of time. I can move items around. I can download them all as a zip. I can manage access, which means lock it down even further, lock a folder down between a specific date and time, or just an individual file. And I can view, which will appear as a toggle screen from one file to another. One more new feature I would like to point out with files. I'm going to navigate down to settings. These are my course details. And now I'm going to navigate down, all the way down to visibility. Instructors can now customize file access in a course to course, institution, or public view. The same applies to syllabus. Files can be adjusted at the file level, not the folder level, but files will be downloadable. One other thing to mention is when visibility is set as course, but syllabus and files is set as institution or public, the only way to have access to that syllabus or files tool is to have the direct URL to the tools. So you would have to provide others with that URL. Again, if you have any questions regarding this new feature to files, this new update, please submit a ticket at canvashelp@stanford.edu. Navigating back to files, I'm going to upload another file. The red exclamation mark appears. And here I would choose my usage right, publish, and based on that new update I just mentioned, here's the visibility option, and this is the default, inherit from course. Again, if you have any questions regarding this new update, please submit a ticket at canvashelp@stanford.edu. I'm now going to navigate over to announcements. As you can see, there is an eye icon with a slash through it. Okay. That usually means one of two things. That means I have no content in there yet. I've yet to create an announcement, or perhaps I've hidden the tool from students. However, the announcements tool should never be hidden from students. I'm going to click Add Announcement. Just type in a title, Welcome to Winter 2023. I can add any content I'd like in this RCE box. I could create a little blurb. Now with announcements, there's another caveat here I'd like to mention. I scroll down and here I have options, and then at the very bottom, I also have save, cancel, and I have this accessibility guide by Pope Tech. The accessibility guide is clickable. It's only visible to teaching teams, and it will remain present next to save and cancel within other tools as well, even when it says save and publish. And it's used to identify and resolve any accessibility issues. However, within the announcement tool, something else I'd like to mention is that there is no save and publish button. There's only a save button. So this is a little deceiving because once you press save, a notification will automatically, the announcement will automatically deploy to students, and so will a notification if they have them turned on. Also important to note that if you deploy an announcement prior to your course being published, students will not receive a notification for that. So I do recommend sending announcements once your course is published. Perhaps you're drafting an announcement, your course is published, and you're waiting on something else to add to the announcement, or you're not quite ready for it to deploy. Under options here, there is a delay posting feature. I highly recommend getting into the habit of using this feature. That way you can go back and edit and revise an announcement prior to sending it, opposed to having to send another if there was something missing or an error. Going to click Save. Now let's move on to discussions. Discussions is a great forum for students to share files with each other. They cannot do that with assignments. When work is submitted to assignments, that's only visible to the teaching teams. So a great place for students to share files with each other. It's a great way to encourage engagement outside of class time. I'm going to click Add Discussion. Again, I can add anything in this RCE box that I'd like. One of the options I like within discussions is that I can make it graded. And anytime you select something to be graded within Canvas, a column will appear for it in the grade book. I'm going to click Save and Publish because I am ready for it to be student facing. As you can see here, this was the difference between the announcement options where you only had Save and Cancel. I have the Save and Publish button. Now, if you are going to rely heavily on a discussion forum within your class, we do have a much more robust discussion tool called Harmonize. Now, if you're scrolling down and you don't see it as an option within these tools, you may have to activate it within your course. So I'm going to navigate down to Settings. I'm going to click on Settings. I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to select Navigation. And as you can see here, these features and tool mirror the ones on the left. I'm going to scroll all the way down and I'm going to look for Harmonize. There it is. Now, to activate this within my course, I'm going to drag and drop it up. In fact, I'm going to drag and drop it up under Discussions. So the same thing applies. If you do not want particular tools to be visible to students, you can drag and drop them down. But do not forget to scroll down and click Save. I'm now going to click on Harmonize. Due to time, I'm not going to delve into this further. Again, if you have a question, please submit a ticket at canvashelp@stanford.edu. But this discussion tool, as I mentioned, is much more robust. It's very interactive. Students can upload multiple types of files directly within posts. They can easily record audio and video comments here as well. Students and instructors can also annotate on posts. They can collect and grade because it's fully integrated with SpeedGrader, which I'll highlight when I'm reviewing assignments. One more tool I'd like to mention is EdDiscussion. And this has been chosen as the question and answer replacement for the Piazza tool. So this is an online communication tool used to facilitate asynchronous and synchronous discussion in a course. And just like Harmonize, both are available in all courses by default. So if you don't see it in your left menu, you would navigate to Settings, Navigation, and you would drag and drop that tool up, scroll down and click Save. Let's jump right into assignments. This is where you are going to create assignment shells and collect work from students. I'm going to add an assignment. Let's call this midterm. Now, since this is my midterm, I'm going to leave it for 50 points, but you have all these options within display grade as. If this is your first time setting up an assignment, your submission type may appear like this with no submission type. You must click on that caret and select online. And then you have the options to select how you would like students to submit work to your assignment shell. We highly recommend file uploads. Scrolling down, you have limited or unlimited attempts. Now you can assign to everyone, you can assign to particular sections. We highly recommend for assignments, you select a due date. Once you select a due date on the student end, that will appear on their to-do list, so it will prompt them immediately on their dashboard so they're aware something is coming up. If this is your first time selecting a due date, the default may be 11:59 p.m., so please make note of that and change the time. I don't recommend anything being due a minute before midnight. So when you complete the due date, that means students will be able to click on your assignment shell and open it after the due date, submit work to it, and it will just appear late in the gradebook. However, you can lock this down further by completing the available from and until dates. Let's make that 9 a.m. We recommend the until date being consistent with the due date. So what this means is that before January 3rd, 9 a.m., students will be able to view your assignment shell, but they won't be able to click on it and open it. And then after January 6th at 9 p.m., they won't be able to click on your assignment shell, open it, and submit work late. So it's another way of locking it down within a specific time and date range. I'm going to click Save and Publish. Now, let's say this is my first time setting up an assignment shell and I want to make sure I've done it correctly. I'm going to navigate to the top right of the screen and click on Student View with the glasses. You can select Student View at any time to check your work. This lovely pink fuchsia border appears, and which denotes I'm in Student View, and now I'm going to work through this assignment as though I were a student. Start assignment. I'm going to upload a file, choose my file, open. Submit assignment. And then after I submit the assignment, I'm provided with these details on the right. Now let's say the due date has passed and everybody has submitted their work, and now I can navigate to SpeedGrader to grade. I'm going to leave Student View. And within the assignment shell, I can click SpeedGrader. You can also access SpeedGrader through the assignment shell column within the gradebook, and I'll highlight that in a bit. I'm going to enter SpeedGrader. This box appears at the top. Whenever a box appears, red or blue, please take the time to read it. We reserve this space for highly pertinent information. So SpeedGrader is not meant for multiple graders. Comments and work may be overwritten. So if you do have a lot of TAs in your course, I would make a schedule so more than one TA or instructor is not grading at the same time. I'm going to close this out. Something else I'd like to mention here is that there is another very robust tool called Gradescope, And that's very common amongst the STEM courses. It has very robust rubrics. And if you are interested in learning more about Gradescope or would like to utilize that tool within your course, please just submit a ticket at canvashelp@stanford.edu. Now, moving forward with grading this paper, I can make comments directly in text. I can highlight. I can strike out. So it really makes it easy to annotate and grade directly in line text. You can also add comments here. Once I click submit, students will be made aware that a comment has been left on their paper or this particular assignment. And I can also grade. I can give the student a grade directly within SpeedGrader as well. Let's say 45. Now, if you notice here, I'm going to type in a grade and click enter. And this red oblong box appears with the word hidden. So the posting policy for SpeedGrader by default is manual. What does that mean? That means you would go through and grade all papers, all of the students' papers, and then when you're finished grading, you must then post their grades at once for them to deploy to students. Okay, and I'm reminded of that because after I entered the grade, this oblong box appeared hidden. And then also the top left of the screen, there is the eye with the slash icon through it. Now you can deploy grades when you finish grading to all students in two ways. This is the first one. You can click on the eye and post grades. However, I don't recommend doing this because you can toggle from student paper to student paper. What if you missed a student? And you wouldn't be aware because you don't have that holistic view from the grade book. So I'm going to navigate back to this assignment shell. I'm going to navigate to grades, and I'm going to look for the assignment shell column, midterm paper. Again, it's hidden. The eye/icon is consistent and visible here as well. So this would be filled with your students. This is my demo course. However, I can see here that Liz Lemon has yet to submit a paper. So when I place my cursor on the assignment shell title, these 3 dots appear. When I click on the 3 dots, I can post grades directly from here. I can also navigate back to SpeedGrader. Let's say I've graded all work. I'm going to click post grade. I'm prompted to ensure this is what I wanted to do. I'm going to click post, and then a green success banner will appear. So you can change the posting policy per assignment, but you can also click on this gear icon and you can change it for your whole course to automatic instead of manual. I would click automatic. If you have any questions regarding the grade posting policy, please submit a ticket to canvashelp@stanford.edu. I'm going to navigate back to my course. I'm going to scroll down. I would like to quickly mention quizzes. When I click add quiz, I'll have these 2 options available to me, and I'm not going to delve into this. I just want to make mention of it. There is a new quiz tool that Instructure, the company that owns and operates Canvas, has been working on. However, there is no feature parity for the new quiz tool. For instance, the classic quizzes tool has survey functionality right now, whereas the new quiz tool does not. So we do recommend presently just sticking with classic quizzes and creating your quizzes within classic quizzes. However, there is another tool that we offer, Poll Everywhere. That's another great great tool for creating surveys as well. Now moving on. Now let's say you've uploaded your syllabus, you've created your discussions, your assignments, your announcements. You can further design and develop your course according to modules or pages. I'm going to first address pages. Going to click on View All Pages because I already have ones created, and I'm going to click Add Page. Now this is essentially just that. It's a page. You can call your page titles by weeks, projects, assignments, units, themes. You could upload all of a theme or a unit's content directly in here, or everything that pertains to week 1. It's quite versatile. So you can upload images here, media, your documents, links. You can copy and paste text. We do recommend, however, within options, when I click on this caret, you leave only teachers as selected. If you do not, it will serve as a wiki page, and students could accidentally delete work on this page, or content could be overwritten. Another new feature I'd like to mention within Pages, right here under Options, is the Publish At. So opposed to scrolling down and just clicking Save and then having to remember to come back to it and publish at a certain time, or to click Save and Publish so it's visible now, you can actually select when you would like this to be published. Okay, now I'm going to click Save. Save and Publish is now grayed out because I've selected my Publish At date within Options. I'm going, and at the very top, I'm reminded of when this will be published. So that's one way to further design your course. Another would be modules. Now, modules is a great way to chunk your content or to create a seamless learning path for students. Just like the syllabus, or just like creating file folders within files, I recommend making modules consistent with file folders and also the view of your syllabus. I'm going to click Add Module at the top to create a module title. You can also add prereqs if you would like. And I'm just going to go through and I'm going to keep chunking my content. As I mentioned with files, the naming conventions remain the same, or the same naming convention mentality remains the same when creating modules. For instance, I would not utilize dates, I would utilize units, themes, project titles. And then you can add content in to each module title. For instance, by clicking the addition symbol within that module title. And then if I click on the caret next to add, I have all these options of content that I can insert. Let me insert a assignment. Now, this is one of the benefits here of already creating assignments, discussions, because it's much more easy to insert into modules. Now, if I have a week 1, unit 1 assignment, I would like to insert into week 1, unit 1 module. I'm going to click addition, but have yet to create it. I would simply click create assignment. And then I would add it. But then I would need to go into that particular assignment shell. I would click edit the pencil icon and I would build it out. Now navigating back to modules. I'm going to click the addition symbol in my Welcome to module. I'm going to click on discussion, and I will add my winter break discussion. I'm going to click here. I'm going to add an external URL. Now, regarding publishing content within modules, if the content is published, which I'm doing so by clicking on the circle with the line through it, it's still not going to be visible to students because the actual module title is not published. So in order for this content to be visible, I have to publish the module title. And this works in reverse. For instance, I'm going to unpublish the Stanford link, but students will be able to view this discussion and the title. They won't be able to view the Stanford link until I publish it. Now, if I decide to utilize modules or pages, I may want to set that as my home page by default, which means instead of students entering your course and coming right to the syllabus view, they would be brought right to modules or page view. Under course status on the right, I'm going to click choose home page, and then I can select, these are the options I can select. However, I'm going to select course modules and save. Now, scrolling down, I'd like to mention Zoom. So the student and observer access to the course recordings will end after the quarter is over. So it's important to note students won't be able to go back in after the quarter is over and listen to the recordings. A few other things to note here, common questions we often receive. The host is the person who's created the Zoom session. And also we recommend setting up your Zoom meetings before you publish the entire course, because that will prevent multiple notifications deploying to students at once. And when you create Zoom meetings in Canvas, they're auto added to the Calendar and Panopto tool. I'm going to click schedule a new meeting. All cloud recordings are also auto uploaded to the Zoom tool within Canvas. Okay, when I click create a Zoom meeting, I'm going to scroll down. We recommend that you click only authenticated users can join meetings. This will help prevent Zoom bombing. You would complete all the necessary fields and click save. Something else to note here, there are a few limitations with the Zoom Canvas integration. One of the most common ones being breakout rooms. So breakout rooms must be created in the Stanford Zoom portal, and it will feed into your Canvas course Zoom session. If you have other questions regarding the limitations between the Canvas Zoom integration and functionality you must complete within the Stanford Zoom portal, please submit a ticket at canvashelp@stanford.edu. I'm now going to scroll down to Panopto course videos. The Files tool within Canvas does have limited space, so we recommend that you upload your videos to the Panopto tool. It's also much easier to create and upload here. There are better controls for editing, creating, revising content. Your Zoom auto recordings are uploaded here as well, as I mentioned. And it's also easier to import videos from one quarter to the next when utilizing the Panopto tool. Other tools I mentioned, one when we were discussing survey functionality would be Poll Everywhere. We have a Poll Everywhere integration with Canvas, and we also do with Slack. So if you have questions, please submit a ticket to canvashelp@stanford.edu. I'm now going to click on Settings. I could also click on Home. Let me click on Home. The absolute last thing you should do when your course is student-facing ready is publish the course within its entirety. And you can do so by publishing course here in this red banner. You can publish your course under course status. You can also publish your course from settings. Publish course status here. And then you can also publish your course from the dashboard once you navigate to your particular course card and click publish. I'm going to click publish from within this course. As you can see, this check mark in the box is visible and it's highlighted in green. I also have this open course for shopping button that is now visible and highlighted in yellow. I'm going to click on it. This allows students to essentially shop your course and experience your course during the add drop period. I'll let you read this later. However, once you open it, you also have the ability to restrict the course shopping period before the add drop period is even over. If you forget, it will automatically do so for you regardless. One last thing I'd like to mention, I'm going to scroll down here in the global dashboard menu and click help. Request help from Stanford Canvas support is the same as submitting a ticket at canvashelp.stanford.edu. You also have these other options available to you as well. The Stanford Canvas FAQs, I just want to mention this real quick. These are highly curated articles our team has published and written based on commonly asked questions we receive regarding Canvas that pertain to our needs on campus here at Stanford. So please, if you'd like, you can browse through these Stanford Canvas FAQs. But I'd just like to end and stress that please do not spend more than 5 to 10 minutes trying to figure something out. Request help from Stanford Canvas support here or submit a ticket at canvashelp@stanford.edu. I hope you have a fabulous winter 2023 quarter.